Hi, welcome to another video for Combat Monsters. Today we're going to look at the deck editing screen, any card game enthusiast's favourite part of the game. We've got a ton of features here, so it's very easy, straightforward and powerful. It empowers you to make the decks that you want. So where do we get started? Here along the top of the screen we can see all of the cards that you have, which can be a bit overwhelming if you've been splurging out in the shop. So what can we do about this? There's too many cards here. So you'll notice the card filters button, which is key. So let's click on that, and it changes the view slightly. So here we have all the little buttons that we need in order to filter through our cards. So first of all, you'll notice here we've got monsters. So these are all our monsters. Then you've got weapons, shields, armor, runes and spells. So that's pretty cool. And then within each category you've got even more little wheels to filter through and find exactly what you want. You don't need to use these, but if you're trying to build a very specific deck, then they're very useful. So what should we do when we're building a deck? Fill it with monsters, usually. You can build decks, obviously. You can build any kind of deck that you want, but usually you'll want monsters in there because it's a very specific deck that doesn't need any monsters in it. So what shall we do? Let's go for a balanced deck. Let's try and fill it full of different types of monsters. So usually I'd look through this and I'd try and keep the general cost of the deck low, and I also might choose particular monsters that have worked well for me. So I'm going to look through these, see what I've got. So this guy looks pretty tempting. He's cost 4, he's only a 1/1, but he's an archer and he can set traps. I do like that. I do enjoy traps, but he's only a common, so I might keep scrolling through here. Rhett, I like this guy. What this guy does is he costs 3, no power, but he's got quite a lot of health for his cost, 3 health, and he can ice block people, which is quite an expensive spell, but it's pretty cool. And the good thing about Rhett is he's a Cyclops and he gains power for each friendly monster that dies. So he's an excellent monster to kind of keep at the back. You spawn him when you've got 3 mojo, you don't know what to do it with, and he just kind of sits there, and if some of your monsters are dying, he suddenly starts getting power. So he can turn into quite a powerful card. So how do we get him in our deck? Dead simple. You drag cards here to build a deck. So we'll click on him and drag him down into there. Dead easy. So we've got our first card in our deck. What I usually do, I don't like putting just one type of card in if I've got more. So I'm going to let's put 2 of him in. I think 2 is a good number for him. You can have a maximum of 4 cards of the same type in your deck, so that's an important number to remember. So what else? Wimpy. He's another 0 power one, but the great thing about dwarves is they get +2 power each time they're attacked. So already if someone starts nipping away at this guy, you know, one damage here, 1 damage there, say someone does 2 damage to him, suddenly this guy could become a 4/3. So 4 power, 3 health for a cost of 4, which is pretty awesome. And then you consider all the stuff you could put on top of him as well. So let's have a couple of him. So he's quite cool. And let's look at what else we've got. We'll skip past the legendaries because they're possibly a bit too powerful, but they are awesome nonetheless. Maybe we could throw 1 in here. Let's throw a 1/1 archer in because he is awesome. What he does is you can just give him +2 power for a cost of 2 mojo, just straight up, and he permanently keeps that. So that's really handy. And as an elemental, anytime you play a spell, he gets +1 power, +1 health. That's pretty cool. Let's leave him in there. Do I want any elves? Maybe. Maybe this legendary one, he can heal people, costs 3 but he gives them 3 health. Let's pop him in. Put that in there. Golems. Golems are pretty tough. Avalanche. He's one of my favourites actually, this guy. Again, very low cost and he can set stuff on fire. That's always great. And anytime you put a rune down he gets 3 health. So let's have 3 of him. He's a very solid archer. And this guy is really good as well. He's a 1/1 but you don't need to worry about that because his main power is suppress. Which basically stops people from moving. So if the enemy has a really powerful guy, I can just slow him down a couple of turns with this guy with Heroth. And this fellow would also be pretty handy because he's got a disarming ability. So let's put a couple of him in, just because. I'm on a bit of a golem spree here. Stud. He's awesome. He casts Magic Shield. I love Magic Shield. He's very low cost. He does nothing, obviously. 0. He's a 0/1. But the Magic Shield is excellent. It absorbs anything. So if you put this on your hero and he gets hit with a power 10 attack, it doesn't matter. Just the shield absorbs it. The shield goes away, but you've absorbed a power 10 attack. So that's pretty handy. So we're pretty low on power here. No one's got over 1 power, so maybe it's time to start adding that. So let's have a look at our main view. If we click on main view again, we can see the stats, which is pretty handy. So we've got 7 cards that cost 3 mojo. So our cost is very low at the moment, which is great. So we can afford to throw a few guys that cost a bit more in. So let's look for someone that's got a bit more power. She's good, Lila. She's a 3/3 with lightning, so that's a kind of an AoE attack. It can damage multiple opponents. So let's have a couple of her in. And who else? Who's got some power? Could put. Let's put a Minotaur in. Let's put Domus. He can go in. He's handy, he's got Phalanx. So if we've got friendly monsters around him and he uses Phalanx, it's +2 for each friendly monster. And what happens to Minotaurs is every time you put equipment on them, you get +1 power, +1 health, which can get pretty powerful, especially if you're throwing cheap stuff on him. It's a really good bonus. So what else do we have? We've got a trap setter, but I'm a bit concerned with all the low power guys we've got in the deck at the moment, so I'm going to skip over him. I'll throw a Bale in. He's got Fireball. That's extremely effective against heroes because they take 1 damage every turn, so always handy to have. We can balance out our lack of power with someone who casts Deathmark. So if you put Deathmark again on a hero, for example, everyone else's attack gets +2, so that's huge. So let's have 3 of him because he's actually no, let's have 4 of him because that's massive. That's going to compensate for all the tiny power monsters that we've got going on. So what do we have? We've got 25 monster cards here. That's quite a lot. You need a minimum of 30 cards in your deck. So we can probably fit another 5 in. Another 5 would be fun. You can fit another 50 in. It's up to you, but for now I think we'll stick with 30. So he's got a lot of power. Put a couple of him in. That's really handy. He just attacks everyone in range. That's devastating. So that can go in there. Who else? Let's finish up with some zombies. They're always really nice to have. A 1/1. We've got only 1 card that costs 1, so he'd be really good. He doesn't do anything, no abilities, but he's a zombie. So each time anything dies, he gets 1 health. So they're really handy to have around the board. So I lied. We went to 31. That's fine. I'm okay with 31 monsters. So what shall we do next? We've got a fairly even spread here, trying to keep everything under cost 4. Most things under cost 4, because most heroes will give you 4 mojo on average. So that's pretty decent. So let's go back to the filters. We've got an even spread almost, maybe quite heavy on archers, quite low on warriors perhaps. So when we look in the weapons, we've got all of them here, but we can swap between warrior weapons, archer weapons and mage weapons. What do we want? I think because we've got such a big mix, we don't want too many specific weapons. They're very powerful, but we don't want to be dealt 4 warriors and then be given a mage staff. That would be rubbish. So I think what I'll do is I'll put a couple of mercies in. They give you extra mojo, and that's very nice because we've got a lot of mages that don't do much. Like, he's not going to be attacking anyone anytime soon. He's not going to be attacking anyone anytime soon. Neither is he. So a couple of mercy staffs would be good. Archer bows, I'm going to leave them. I'm going to leave them for now because we're not archer heavy. Warrior weapons, I think we could have some cheaper stuff. So what have we got? I'm always a fan of the power sword, so let's throw a couple of power swords in. I think that'll do for weapons. Shields anyone can wear, so we can have a few shields easy enough. Again, let's try to keep it cheap. I love the nightmare shield. It's only a common, but you get 2 armor, 2 power for a cost of 4. It's pretty decent. Let's look for something similar in the armor department. We could have power armor. Yeah, let's go on some power compensation. So that's quite a nice set. Let's keep it low as well. It's very important. It's very tempting to load up on equipment cards because they are very powerful, but one of the worst situations you can find is that you're dealt 4 equipment cards, or even 5 equipment cards and no monsters. No one to put the equipment on. So you always want to have more monsters than equipment cards. And then let's look at runes. Runes can make or break a deck. So we don't have a ton of mojo generation here. We're kind of relying on a high mojo hero and possibly finding some mojo tiles. So we can play it safe and put some +1 mojo runes in there. I think that's a good idea.